Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Chase. I'm the CEO of Trasmosis. You can see the sign behind me. That's one of our new products we'll talk about in a minute. Very excited to be here today. So, I'm a technology entrepreneur and have been doing technology companies for over 20 years. We started Trasmosis about 6 years ago in Silicon Valley, and it was actually born out of my last company, which was a digital advertising company. And something very interesting happened there. We built a digital advertising company that grew really fast. We were bootstrapped, so we didn't raise much money, but we had a lot of very fast revenue growth. Um, and what that meant was, since we didn't raise very much money, but we had so much revenue growth, and we had to hire so many people that we had to get very creative about finding talent. And so what that meant was it started off, with friends and family, where we bring people in from other industries or people that were close to us that we knew. Um, but everyone we brought in the beginning, especially, was not from the internet business. They weren't from digital advertising specialty. They were people that were friends, they were family, they were laid off, they were from other industries. They wanted to get into the digital advertising business, but they didn't really have the background experience, and they couldn't find jobs in Silicon Valley. But we needed them to get going. So what we did was we started hiring these people and then training them on the job. And then all of a sudden, a year or two later, we were 100 people. And I look back and realized that, we had literally kind of inadvertently built an on-the-job training model inside the company to train people that were not from the industry to become specialists in digital advertising. And it worked out incredibly well, meaning that we had people, like I said, were laid off. They were from other industries. We hired them. They moved up within our company to the point where they were being hired away by Google, Facebook, Microsoft, etc. So we had we had discovered something. What I discovered was that anybody with ambition and transferable skills, those two things, ambition and transferable skills, could succeed in any field that they wanted to. And in particular, they could succeed in the technology industry and even in specialized fields like digital advertising. So that's something you don't see in a lot of technology companies and startups in Silicon Valley, where it's very hard to get a foot in the door unless you work at a really cool startup or you came from Facebook or Google. In our case, we had trained those people. And what happened was they moved up in the company and they were getting hired away to Google and Facebook and Microsoft. And so that became like an aha moment for me. It made me realize that really anybody with those two qualities, these ambition and transferable skills, could succeed in these fast growing technology fields. So that became the inspiration for my new company, Trasmosis, which we're going to talk about here. And Trasmosis, the entire mission when we started it 6 years ago, is to do just that, which is to take state and federal funding and to rapidly train people through experiential learning, on the job training, into these fast growing technology fields. Because it happened before, like I said, at my previous company, and all these people were an incredible inspiration to me that they could do that, because all their resumes, were being thrown in the trash when they were sending them to these other companies in Silicon Valley because they didn't have the right pedigree. So that's the inspiration for my business that we started Trasmosis 6 years ago. And we've now trained thousands of people through state and federal grant funding who were typically not in the technology field or had little background in it, and then train them up to the point where they're now off and running in many different careers. Some of them working at Google now. They were literally in their 50s and unemployed before that. So we've had some great success stories. What's happened since then is that over the last 6 years, we've become specialists in training, where we got involved deeply in cybersecurity early on. And now we're a nationally recognized leader in cybersecurity training. So we got more specialized in training. And cybersecurity is one of these amazing fields because it is well, first, it's one of the highest paying, or one of the highest paying entry level IT jobs in the world. In the United States, the average starting salary is $75,000, and no 4-year degree is required. And the other interesting fact is that these cybersecurity jobs and these entry level ones, they're one of the most in demand jobs in the world that companies can't fill because there's just not enough talent. Most of the talent's more senior and not entry level. So the most job openings across every industry are in cybersecurity, which is really interesting. So people think, oh, cybersecurity is too technology focused. I'm not going to be able to get a job, in that field. Or, cybersecurity is only a field for getting a job at a cybersecurity company. So both those are not true at all. The cybersecurity industry has a big marketing problem. So one of the big problems, like I just said, is that you don't need a big technical background to get that $75,000 a year entry level job in cybersecurity. You don't need a 4-year degree. You need rapid kind of boot camp type of training. You need to have some kind of basic IT background. And then ideally, like we provide, you need experiential learning. Try to learn through internships and externships. And then the other thing that's a myth in cybersecurity is that you can only get a job in cybersecurity company, which is great, and you can, but cybersecurity jobs are in demand on every industry: healthcare, retail, e-commerce, right? Doctors' offices, accounting firms, financial services, etc. So every industry has a need for cybersecurity people. So it's really one of the great fields to get into if you've got a basic IT background, and you're looking to make a career switch. And so we've been doing that for many years. We become specialists at it. And Trasmosis, my company, is focused around training security analysts specifically, because that's a really high in-demand field that you can get into with just some basic IT background. It can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, but if you go through the right training and on-the-job training, you can rapidly get a job in that field. And also the career, the upward career mobility. 75 grand is the starting salary, and go into hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's just starting. And so also really interesting is for people who've got an IT background, need to go to school, 4-year degree, get a big loan, then go out and get into cybersecurity or study cybersecurity within the school. There's a lot of great programs in school, and those schools are catching up. But what it's not necessary, because if you want to get into cybersecurity, you don't need a 4-year degree. You don't need a big $50,000, $100,000 school loan. It's going to take you a decade to pay off. So you could actually, we've trained people that are actually learning cybersecurity in high school, and then can go directly into an internship or on-the-job training. And within like a year or so, they could be a security analyst at $75,000 a year. No college degree, no loan. So the industry's got a big marketing problem. That's very exciting that people can do that. And what we kind of point them to, obviously, are programs like ourselves, where you have this on-the-job experiential learning. We point them towards getting cybersecurity certifications. That's a really important point. Certifications in the cybersecurity industry are actually more important than certifications in the broader IT industry. Employers value them more. So, for example, CompTIA Security Plus is viewed as very valuable by employers versus more entry-level IT certifications. So getting a certification, a professional certification, getting internships, on-the-job training, they can go a long way, and you do not need to go to college to get these jobs. And the jobs are not as technical as you think. A lot of them are actually look very much like video games, because a lot of it really is learning software programs and learning how to manage those software programs. So the term used sometimes is glass monkeys. It's not a very, it's maybe a little bit of a derogatory term, but it's really more like, think of like online gaming. You're learning a software platform. You're learning how to deal with and remediate threats, and you're taking actions based on that computer screen, that program that you're using. You're not writing software code. So the industry has got a big marketing problem. A lot of people don't know all of this. And we're one of the companies that's a big advocate for getting people across the globe into cybersecurity. Not to mention your local, whether you're in South America, North, Europe, et cetera, Australia, your local companies, your local governments, they're all very supportive of this. They all need help and want to hire people in cybersecurity. There's just tons of opportunities. So feel free to reach out to us or some of your local partners on that. Happy to give guidance. So, and we're partnering with some interesting companies in South America to bring our training there. And then to kind of finish up here, in doing all of that, in training all these security analysts, we realized that we had a really powerful asset in all these security operations center analysts that we were training around the country. And so we decided to productize that. You can see the banner behind me for Trasmosis 1. We're now bringing this to South America, which is really exciting, through a great company in South America called Antifraud, Antifraude, which is a leading cybersecurity company in South America. And we developed this new product in the United States, launched it last year. It's one of the most unique products for protecting small businesses from cyber attack with a 24/7 security operations center. Those security operations centers manned by the various security analysts that we're training, like I've been talking about. So we've got all these security analysts coming out of our training programs. We hire the best ones. We give them experience first. Ones that go the furthest, we hire. And what's really amazing is that we can remotely train and hire and deploy these security analysts virtually throughout the United States and throughout the world next to protect small businesses from cyber attack, because small businesses are the number one target for cyber attack today, but they've got the least amount of protection. And they've also rarely have 24/7 security operations, watching out over a 10, 20 person company. So we're one of the first companies to do that. We have integrated cyber liability insurance as part of that. We've got some of the latest XDR technology for protecting endpoints as part of that. And what's also really special there is that we make it really easy for the small business owner to get access to this, very high level enterprise endpoint security by accessing our service in a monthly subscription model. That really never existed before, because small businesses have been overlooked by the cybersecurity industry for years. The reason they're overlooked is just that cybersecurity software companies want to concentrate on bigger deals, not on trying to corral a bunch of, pull together a bunch of 20 person companies. So there's all these millions of small businesses that are really vulnerable to cyber attack. They're the number one target. They're financially liable. This is something that a lot of small business owners, whether you're in South America or United States or wherever, are not aware of, that there's nothing to protect you against, unless you have an insurance policy, cyber insurance policy, there's nothing to protect you financially against these attacks. If you're ransomed, which by the way, 70% of ransom attacks target the endpoint That means the desktop or the laptop at these small businesses. You're essentially liable. So you got to pay that ransom in most cases. You got to pay the $100,000 in Bitcoin. And if you don't, they may extort you, meaning they're going to let all your customers know that you were hacked. So you might lose a whole bunch of customers and revenue. So it's a really big deal. Small businesses are not paying enough attention to this, and we're making it as easy as possible with Trasmosis 1 to protect those small businesses so they can be up and running and protected in an hour, with $500,000 or $1 million in liability coverage, and just press a button without any contracts or obligations. So we're bringing this to South America, like I said, through a great partnership with Antifraud. There's tons of small businesses under, call it 200 or 300 employees that need this kind of protection. They just don't have. And as you get smaller, you typically see little to no cyber endpoint protection, or you see consumer antivirus, which unfortunately a lot of small businesses think they're protected, with a consumer grade antivirus like Norton or McAfee, and those are great companies. It's just nowhere near the type of endpoint protection that you need to be safe, because these very sophisticated cyber criminals are literally coming for you. It's not an exaggeration. And they're just going down the line till they find an open door. And the easiest open doors are the ones they go after. And those are typically where you see like a consumer antivirus product. So anyway, the kind of to wrap all of this up. So that's us. We're all about training people into cybersecurity, and then in turn taking those people and protecting small businesses from cyber attack around the globe. And now we're, like I said, bringing this to South America, which is a very exciting market through a unique partnership with anti-fraud. And I guess I would leave and finish with that. Like I said, the cybersecurity on the training side has a big marketing problem because people don't think they can actually get a job there. And in some cases, you just need basic computer skills to get a job in cybersecurity. You could be an online gamer, for example, and get a job in cybersecurity. You could be a 15-year-old and you're really into gaming. That's actually very applicable to a cybersecurity job. And so there's a lot of opportunity there. So you feel free. I always tell anybody if they want to shoot me a note, we'll put our contact info. It's chase@trasmosis.com, or reach out to the company here to reach out to me. But we're a big advocate of getting more people into cybersecurity. It's not as hard as you think. It's not as technical as you think. And you can get to it. You can make that career transition a lot faster than you think. So we're always out promoting that. And we're really very grateful to have you guys host us here today. Thank you.